about transitioning to a knowledge economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where truth has become stranger than fiction. And every day brings 1,000 discoveries, and many of these are transforming our lives. It's a world where economic development does not depend on natural resources alone. What has become the single most important element for progress is the quality of the human resources, our ability to unleash the creative potential of our young. And surely we have a huge amount of talent within our respective countries in the developing world. So those countries which have realized that their real wealth lies in their children and not in the oil or gold or minerals or other natural resources, those are the countries which have moved forward rapidly, leaving others behind. And we live in this world where in a hall of this size, you can create millions of plants without seeds using just plant tissue culture technology. You have scientists who have taken genes from the firefly, jugnu ke jo genes hote hain, and put them into orchids, and you have luminescent orchids. You have cars running just on air pressure without engines, aeroplanes flying without internal fuel. They can just capture the oxygen from the stratosphere and use that as fuel. You have paralyzed people moving wheelchairs with just thought control. They think, I want my wheelchair to go there, it goes there, to go here and go. Just they wear a cap with sensors. And you have the blind seeing with the tongue. They just have a lollipop-like device which sends signals to the brain, and they can partial eyesight is restored. And so it's really a strange world. You have a world where paper made of nanocellulose is stronger than steel, bulletproof paper. And I write these articles, The Wondrous World of Science, every Sunday in Dawn. Some of you may have read them. And that is to excite young men and women that this is the strange world of knowledge. And so in order to move forward and in order to contribute towards the process of socio-economic development, there have to be three key things which have to be in place. Tony Blair was once asked, what are the three top priorities of your government when he was the Prime Minister of the UK? And his answer was education, education, and education. So that is the key to all the problems that we face in this country and in others, whether it is terrorism, whether it's poverty, whether it's lack of justice, whether it's industrialization. The whole process of socio-economic development revolves around one single factor, the ability to unleash the creative potential of our young through a powerful educational system at all levels, primary, secondary, technical, and higher education. So you need to have the human capital in order to transition to a knowledge economy. You need to have the technology, and that's where the linkage between science and industry comes in. And you need to have a society where innovation and entrepreneurship can flourish. So just look at little small countries. Finland, population 1/4 that of Karachi. Karachi से 1/4 आबादी है फिनलैंड की. उसकी एक company, just one company, Nokia, has exports which are double the exports of Pakistan, $40 billion. And Sri Lanka, I was talking to the president of Sri Lanka some time ago, and he said that we made a bad mistake. We have an excellent educational system at the school level, but our universities have remained weak. We should have simultaneously focused on our university system and on high-quality research centers which could provide the necessary inputs to industry. So you need to have a balanced approach. And there is a direct correlation between the human resources, between the investments in education, especially higher education, and in exports. And this slide bears this out. In 1960, Korea had only about 5% of its youth between the ages of 17 to 23 enrolled in the higher education system, and its exports were only $32 billion. Now, 92%, the highest in the world, 92% of the youth in Korea of that age group are benefiting from higher education, and their exports have jumped to about $350 billion. And what kind of difference can one institution make? So just look at MIT, for instance. From MIT, some 4,000 companies have sprung up, which have annual sales of $240 billion US dollars, not million, ladies and gentlemen, $240 billion annually. And if these alone would account, would be equal to about the 18th largest economy of the world, if you were to put them together. So, and they employ about over 1 million people. So this is the point I raised in the cabinet when I was the head of the Higher Education Commission, when Jamali Saab was the Prime Minister. Prior to that, I was the Minister for Science and Technology and of IT and Telecom. And Javed and I have shared the same cabinet at that time. I was asked at that time to prepare. I asked the question, where is Pakistan going? In 20 years' time, are we going to be the world leaders in manufacturers of computer chips, or pharmaceuticals, or in shipbuilding, or in the steel industry? What is the long-term strategic plan for the development of Pakistan? How do we transition from this low value-added agricultural economy in which we are trapped into a knowledge economy? And so the cabinet asked me to lead this initiative. Took about 2 years of hard work. We had, we scientists sometimes can be airy-fairy. We can have our heads up in the skies, but not our feet firmly planted on the ground. So I got 12 PhDs in economics to help me in doing the inter-C priorities. So biotechnology, agriculture, engineering, pharmaceuticals, information technology and telecommunications, engineering, etc., etc. What do we do? Which projects? So there were 5 questions that we asked. Which projects? What cost? Which institutions to be involved? What time frame? And what will be the IRR, the internal rate of return, the impact? And that's where the economists came in. So, and I said, I do not want a long wish list. We have to focus on a few critically important areas. Otherwise, you spread yourself too thin. And as a result of these deliberations, we identified the technology gap, the policy gap, the innovation gap. And as a result of this focused approach in these various key sectors where there are huge opportunities for transitioning to a knowledge economy, and looking at the best practices across the world of countries which have made it in spite of very great difficulties, we came forward with a 300-page document which was approved by the cabinet in August 2007. And this lays a clear roadmap for Pakistan. The challenge now is to implement it. An interministerial committee was formed at the time, and I hope that it does not lie and gather dust as such initiatives sometimes do, and that it is actually implemented. In Pakistan, unfortunately, there is a sad tale to tell by successive governments. Right from the time of partition to now, we have never really given the importance to education. In the list of countries of the world, we probably are amongst the bottom 6 or 7 countries of the world in terms of the percentage of GDP that we are investing into education. 1.2% of the GDP is the actual expenditure. The allocation is a little over 2%, but the actual expenditure is only 1.2%, which is shameful, is the word, the politest word I can describe, I can say, for a nuclear state like Pakistan with so much potential for development. So, with the formation of the Higher Education Commission back in 2002, sorry, there's a wrong date, and I was appointed to head it after I had left the cabinet in 2002.